Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Journey Podcast. What we're going to talk about today is deep work and focus. So, as a business owner, when you work for yourself, it can be pretty damn easy to get distracted and switch from task to task to task. And this is going to come from one, producing content, and then also two, consuming content. And what I want to say is that I find that far too many people get their content from short-term content like Instagram, Reels, maybe even 10-minute podcasts like this. But the nice thing about these podcasts is that you can binge them for a long period of time and learn a lot. But what I know is that the most life-changing content that I've ever consumed is like long form content that's 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours long, taking courses that are 60 hours long. Of course, those are the types of content that really go deep enough in order for you to change either your habits or change your processes or change and learn and grow. Right now, content on Instagram and then even some content like on YouTube that are like, below the 5 minute mark. I say that talking about this, but I also have a 60-hour course which covers the content that I'm talking about. But that kind of content is quick flash in the pan. It might give you some inspiration. It might give you some, it might give you some like entertainment. It might also just, kind of keep you entertained for a while, like I just mentioned, but it's not going to be enough to really change things for you. And when people say, oh, you can just learn it online on your own, really what they're referring to is short form content, because that's the content that's free. It's sound bites. It's there's no substance and there's no like depth to it at all. It's just like motivational quotes or something that you can use to kind of carry you on throughout the day. But it's not content that you actually need to sit down and consume. But I find that the content that makes the biggest difference is the content that are extremely long, the content that require 2 to 3 hours of focus. And so as a business onner, a general rule of thumb that you should always be looking for long form content that's going to dive deep onto onto a piece of onto a concept that you'll be able to dissect and then actually apply that information into your business. 1, 2, 3 hour long content. You can find stuff like this in the PTBI course. And then also producing content that's more long form. That's going to be more long lasting content that will actually change your life and make you grow. And, an example of this would be my book here. So this is my book, Cutting Strings. If you guys haven't read it, you can check it out on Amazon. But this is an example of a piece of content that took me days and days and days to create. And it's made a much bigger impact on people than any of my 5-minute Instagram posts would ever make on someone's life. And then same thing with my PTBI course. It took me like 6 months to build my PTBI course and required 2, 3, 4, 5 hours at a time of consistent focus and energy on building that thing. And that course has changed the lives of so many people. Yet my podcasts and my YouTube videos and my, Instagram posts, those are enough to get people interested and to kind of, entertain people, maybe give them some inspiration, but it's not enough to change their life. Right. And I know this too. I know if you're listening to this podcast, I know that this podcast will give you a lot of great ideas. It will give you inspiration. It will point you in the right direction, but it's not going to change your life. What you need is real deep work, focused work that requires 2 to 3 hours of consumption. And that also requires you to, block out time in your day in which you are able to go deep on learning and also creating. Right. So having a period of time in your day in which you can put your phone to the side, or you can, put yourself in the room. I call it going into the vortex. But it's a period of time where you just have extreme focus. You need to make sure that you prioritize that time in your days, because that's really where, one, you're going to see change in yourself, and two, you're going to really be able to help change other people. So I want you guys to start thinking about more long form content and content that you can consume and create. If you're going to be consuming content, don't go for the 5-minute videos. Don't go for the sound bites on Instagram. Don't go for the TikToks. Go for the long stuff. Read a book. Listen to an hour-long podcast. Go watch like an interview of your favorite billionaire for 2 hours, right? Those are the pieces of content that are really going to change your life, and that's also the piece of content that nobody else is watching. right? Guarantee if you go find a if you go find a YouTube video interview of Jeff Bezos that's a free 3 hour long video, guarantee you most people won't click on that and watch the whole thing. So that's the kind of content that's going to separate you as an expert and really make you different, because that's the kind of content you need in order to truly change the way you think and operate. And also think about your clients. What kind of content do they need in order for them to truly understand their macros, to truly understand their training? They don't need 10-minute sound bites, or they don't need like an Instagram infographic. They need a 2, 3, 4, 5 hour course that's going to walk them through everything they need to know. So I want you guys to start thinking about content in a longer form and start thinking about deep work. When you set aside time to consume content or produce content, go deep, 2 to 3 hours at a time, not 10 to 15 minutes. That's what's going to make you different in the long term. That's going to establish you as an expert. It's going to build up a ton of experience with you, and you're just going to be a freaking super genius. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode.